Hey everybody, welcome back to another EDH video. Today's video we are on day 14 of 25 days in deck building. We are on Gold Gary, and this is the Gitrog Ravenous Ride. 3 generic and a Gold Gary, legendary creature Frog Mutant Mount from Outlaws Thunder Junction. Trample Haste, whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice a creature that saddled it this turn. If you do, draw X cards and put X landing cards from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. And saddle one, which saddle one is basically crew, but for like a creature. Like remember like vehicles, it's like basically just crewing a creature pretty much. But it's a 6/5 with haste, saddle one, so you can literally do it with the mana dork. But yeah, let's get right into what's actually in the deck. Well, let's talk about what's actually the deck's trying to do. It's trying to sacrifice big old things to draw a lot of cards, put a lot of lands in the battlefield. You do draw the cards first and then put the lands into play, so you have an opportunity to actually draw the lands and then put them into play, so I think it's pretty good. But yeah, let's get right what's actually in the deck. Alrighty, so we have 30 creatures, 12 sorcerers, 8 instants, 5 artifacts, 5 enchantments, 39 to 42 lands. There's 3 MDFCs is what that means. Then it's coming in at $320. $320, I feel like it's kind of mid-range for how much money. So first up we got Ramp. We got Arcane Signet, 2 generic, taps for green or black, which is our commander's colors. Brains of Paradise, flying, add 1 mana of any color. Dark Ritual, 1 black, tap, or it adds 3 black whenever you cast it. It's an instant. Pretty simple here. And then we have Delighted Halfling, 1 green, tap for a color, so you can tap it for a mana of any color and spend it only to cast legendary creature spells, or legendary spells, and that spell can't be countered. So 1/2 Halfling Citizen is a really good mana dork. Makes our Gitrog uncounterable. Then we have Elves of Deep Shadow, 1 green. You can tap it for a black and it deals 1 damage to you. Elvish Mystic, 1 green, taps for a green. Basically a lot of War Elves, but you know, different. Fanatic of Ravenous, one generic and a green. Tap it, add a green. But if you control a creature with power 4 or greater, you can add 4 green. It also has Internalize, which means you can exile and create a copy token of it from the graveyard. It's a 4/4 black zombie. And then we have a lot of War Elves. It's a green. You can tap it for a green. Pretty simple. Lotus Cobra, one generic and a green. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, you add 1 mana of any color. We're going to be making a lot of lands come into play, so why not? Savella, Heart of the Wilds, 1 generic, 2 green. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. You can tap 1 green, tap it, and add X mana where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Soul Ring, 1 generic, tap it, make 2 colorless. Splunking, 2 generic and a green. Whenever it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you put a cave onto the battlefield this way, you gain 4 life. Lands you control enter the battlefield untapped. So with Gitrog, your land's going to come in tapped, but with Splunking, they'll come in untapped. Thought Vessel, 2 generic. You have no maximum hand size. Tap and add a colorless. 3 visits, 1 generic and a green. Search your library for a forest. Put the card on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Pretty simple ramp. Nature's Lore is basically the exact same thing. I don't think there's a different word on it, except for the sets. And we have Rampant Growth, 1 generic and a green. Search your library for a basic land card. Put that onto the battlefield, tapped, and then shuffle your library. We got Utopia Sprawl, enters the battlefield tapped. Choose a color. Whenever Enchanted Force is tapped for mana, its controller adds an additional 1 mana of the chosen color. Wild Growth, 1 green. Enchant Land. Whenever Enchanted Land taps for mana, its controller adds an additional green. It's a little bit of ramp to get up to Gitrog. We got Removal. Archdruid Charm, 3 green. You search your library for a creature or land card and reveal it. Put it on the battlefield, tapped if it's a land card. Otherwise, put it into your hand and shuffle. You can also put a +1 counter on target creature control. It deals damage equal to its power to the target creature you don't control. And then you can also exile target artifact or enchantment. Assassin's Trophy is a Gold Gary. Destroy target permanent and opponent controls. They search their library for a basic land card and put it on the battlefield. And they shuffle. It's a really good remove one. Gold Gary, probably the best one. Berserk, cast Berserk only for combat step. And then target creature gains trample and +X/+X, where X is its power. Then you destroy that creature if it attacked this turn. Basically, it just goes berserk. Bajuka Bog enters the battlefield tapped, but whenever it enters, exile target player's graveyard and tap it for a black. Just a little bit of graveyard removal. Bridgeworks Battle, 2 generic and a green. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn, and it fights target creature you don't control. Healing Ritual, 2 generic and Golgari. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less, and then add black or green, where X is the number of permanents. Golgari Charm. Casa Golgari. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn. Destroy target enchantment, or you can regenerate each creature you control a little bit of protection, unless they cast like a Wrath of God. Nature's Claim. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. As controller gains 4 life. Toxic Deluge, best board wipe in the format, 2 generic and a black. As an additional cost to cast a spell, pay X life. All creatures get -X until end of turn. Beast Within, 2 generic and a green. Destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green beast creature token. Really good. Big stuff to sack. We got big stuff to sack. Nimigoth Titan, 4 gold Gary hybrid. Whenever it attacks or blocks, sacrifice a creature. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to be wanting to crew our Gitrog and draw 11 cards. A Shy, Soul of the Wild, 3 generic and 2 green. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. The non-token creatures you control are forest lands in addition to their other types. So this gets better the later we go on, pretty much. And Blackblade Reforged, 2 generic. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Equipped legendary creature 3 or equipped 7. This is one of those things that gets progressively better as the game goes on. Like, we can just keep on equipping it to creatures and just sacrificing them to Gitrog. Or we can put it on a Gitrog and kill him with commander damage if we want to, because we're going to have a lot of lands, especially if we sacrifice some of the big stuff. Gulta Primal Hunger, 2 generic, 2 green, legendary creature Elder Dinosaur. Spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power among creatures you control. It's a trample 12/12, really good to sack. But also if we wanted to, we can attack with it. No big deal there. Can definitely take some players out. We got Gigantosaurus, 5 green mana, creature, dinosaur, 10/10. Really restrictive, but we can definitely get it out. Green Sleeves, Mario Sorcery, 3 generic and 2 green. Protection from planeswalkers and from wizards. Green Sleeves power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. And then whenever land enters battlefield under your control, you create a 3/3 green badger creature token. So whenever you put all those lands in play from your commander, you're creating a bunch of 3/3 badgers, which I think is pretty freaking sweet. Then we have Grothama, all devouring, 3 generic, 2 green. Other creatures have, whenever this creature attacks, you may have it fight Grothama. And then whenever Grothama leaves the battlefield, each player draws cards equal to the amount of damage dealt to Grothama from a creature they control. We have Kona. At the beginning of your second main phase, if Kona Beastie is tapped, you may put a permanent card from your hand on the battlefield. It's a 3 generic and 2 green, or 1 green. Mossborn Hydra, 2 generic and a green. Trample. This creature enters with a +1/+ encounter on it. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, double them with +1/+ encounters on it. Just gonna get really big with our commander. Multani, Yavimai Avatar, 4 generic, 2 green. Rage Trample gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land in your graveyard. Then you return 2 lands you control to its owner's hand and return Multani from your graveyard to the hand. It's a 0/0, but it gets +1/+1 for each land. Old Man Willow, 2 generic and a Golgari. Power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature or token, and whenever you do, target creature an opponent controls gets -2 until end of turn. -2 until end of turn. I can't even speak today, but basically it's a little bit of removal if we wanted it to be. We're never really going to attack with it, just wanted to sacrifice it. Beta Titan, 4 generic, 2 green. Whenever it dies, return to the battlefield tapped when its owner's control at the beginning of his or her next upkeep. It's one of those repeatable sacrifice things we can do. We just keep sacrificing it over and over and over again just to keep accruing value. Riding Regisaur, 2 generic and a green or a black. At the beginning of your upkeeps, discard a card, 7/6. We don't care about the upkeep. We're going to be playing this right before our commander and just, sacrificing it. Yargrim Matani, 3 generic, 2 black, 1 green. Legendary creature, Frog Spear Elemental. It's an 18/6. Yargle Gluten of Orberg, 4 generic and a green. It's a 9/3. These are all just big stuff we want to sacrifice they don't do a whole lot, but they're pretty cool. A Quake Strider Ceratops, 3 generic, 3 green, 12/8 from Foundations. One of my favorite card from Foundations, because look at that boy, he's so cute. Anyways, I don't want to talk about it. I'm definitely putting this in Self-Valor because this is great. Psychosis Trawler, 5 generic. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life, but it's also power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in your hand. So minimum 7, I guess. Recursion. We have a little bit of recursion because we are sacrificing stuff. Badlands Survival, 3 generic and a Golgari. We're going to return up to 1 creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. A little bit, get both, best of both worlds. Also, that's Bristly Bill, I think, right there in the art. So I think that's pretty funny. Delegate Recovery, 2 generic and a green. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Also, it's a flip land, so you can flip it to the MDFC. Eternal Witness, 1 generic, 2 green. Enters the battlefield. You may return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Noxious Survival, 1 Phyrexian mana. Just put target card from a graveyard on top of its owner's library. So you can pay a green or a 2 life. Reanimate, 1 black. Return target creature card from your graveyard onto the battlefield under control. You lose life equal to its mana value. There's big stuff, but we don't really care. We're going to be wanting to draw cards anyways. Then we have Victimize, 2 generic and a black. 2 target creature cards in your graveyard. Sacrifice creature. If you do, return those chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. This card is really funny. and good. I like it. Random value, just stuff I didn't find a good category for. Is a Parental Hunger Dominus, 5 generic, 2 green. Reach at the beginning of each combat, double the number, power and toughness of each creature you control until a turn. Unnatural Growth also does the exact same thing, so we can draw double cards, I think. If this works how I want it to, it should let us draw double cards. If not, it's still a good card. School Sport Nexus, 6 generic, 2 green. The other stuff doesn't matter, but you can pay 2 and tap it, double target creature's power until a turn. Then we have Spinner of Souls, 2 generic and a green. Reach the Spider Spirit. Whenever another non-target creature you control dies, you reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into your hand and the rest at the bottom of your library in a random order. It's 4/3 Reach Spider. I think it's cool. The art looks cool. Also very cool for what we're doing. Sweet Swarm, 2 generic and a green. Whenever land you control enters, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. You can control 6 or more lands. Create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm. Life Legacy, 1 generic and a green. As additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice creature. Draw cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power. We already wanted to do sacrifice stuff. So Finale Devastation, X, 2 green. Search your library for or graveyard for a creature card with mana value X or less. Put it on the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle. If X is 10 or more, creature you control get +X/+X and gain haste until end of turn. We can buff our stuff. We can also search our graveyard if we want to get something back. But most of the time, we're probably going to be searching our library to get something big out. We don't need to have something in our graveyard. Disciple of Freyalise, 3 generic, 3 green. I love this card. I don't know why, but whenever it enters battlefield, you sacrifice another creature. If you do, gain X life and draw X cards where X is that creature's power. We already want to do that stuff, so why not? Abundance, 2 generic, 2 green. If you would draw a card, you may choose land or non-land and reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put the card in your hand, put all other cards reveal this way on the bottom of your library in any order. This works the way I want it to. We can do this with Gitrog, and we can draw all lands if we wanted to. So next up we got Bristly Bill, Spine Tower, 1 generic and a green. Whenever a land enters battlefield under your control, put a +1 counter on a creature. They can pay 3 and 2 green, double the number of +1 counters on each creature control. I just like Bristly Bill. I feel like if we just put a bunch of counters on one creature and then we can sacrifice it to Gitrog to draw a lot of cards, then we get that landfall trigger. We can just keep like rolling and rolling and rolling, and we can eventually just draw our entire deck. And we have lands. We're gonna have a lot of lands. We have 9 swamps. Yep. 9 swamps, and guess how many forests? Yep, 9 forests. Yep, everybody knows by now. I like to keep my lands even. Validate Recovery is the backside of a card. Enters battlefield tapped, and you can tap it for a green. So Validate Recovery is the backside. Blooming Marsh enters battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer lands. Taps for a black or a green. Bajuka Bog, we talked about Bajuka Bog. We all know Bajuka Bog. It's in every black precon there is, and we don't need to talk about it because we already know what it does. Castle Brig, whenever it enters the battlefield tapped, unless you control a forest. Taps for a green, but you can also tap 2 and 4 and 2. Tap 2 and 2 green, add 6, and you can only spend that mana to cast creature spells or activate abilities of creatures. Command Tower, add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Yeah, we all know what this does. A Darkboard Pathway taps for black, but you can also put it on the green side, and it'll tap for green if you put it on the green side. I don't know how else to explain those. Deathcap Glade enters battlefield tap unless you control 2 or more other lands. Did I just talk about this? Maybe it's the other land. I feel like they're very similar, but it also taps for a black or a green. Exotic Orchard, add 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could reduce. So we're probably going to be playing against black or green. I don't know. We're in a 4-player pod. It's pretty simple. Pretty not rare. Then we have Field of the Dead, enters battlefield tapped. You can tap for colorless whenever it or another land enters the battlefield under your control. If you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. We all know this card. It's like $7 billion for some reason, but really good. It's really good in landfall decks. If we get the Gitrog trigger with a lot, we can just put like 30 lands into play. If Garden of Freyalise enters battlefield tapped, unless you pay 3 life, and it taps for green. It's the backside of Priest of Freyalise, or whatever the heck it is. Golgari Rot Farm enters battlefield tapped, but whenever it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. You can also tap for a black and a green. Lana Where Else taps for a colorless. You can tap it for a green or a black, and then whenever you do, it deals 1 damage to you. It's got a little fairy on there. It's pretty cool. Enters Necroblossom Blossom Snarl. Enters, you may reveal a swamp or forest card from your hand. If you don't, Necroblossom Snarl enters battlefield taps for a black or green. Nurturing Peatland, tap it, pay 1 life, add a black or green, but you can also pay 1, tap it, and sacrifice it and draw a card. Reliquary Tower, you have no maximum hand size. You can tap it for a colorless. Very good in this deck because we're going to be drawing a lot of cards. Then we have Rogue's Passage, 4 generic, 4, tap it, target creature you can't be blocked this turn. So, Gitrog. We've got Shifting Woodland, enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a forest. You can tap it for a green. You can also tap 2 green. You Becomes a copy of a target permanent card in your graveyard until end of turn. Activate only if there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard. There probably will be. I mean, we're sacrificing a lot of stuff, I feel like. You can also discard lands and stuff. Or, yeah, to hand size, you know, discard whatever we want. We're going to have a lot of cards, that's what I'm saying. We're just going to be discarding and, you know, drawing a lot. So, hopefully, we actually are able to activate that. We got Tainted Wood, taps for colors, but I can also tap for a black or a green if you control a swamp. We can only activate it if you control a swamp. I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. The wording is weird. But you can if you have a swamp, you can activate it for a green or a black. Temple of Milady, that enters the battlefield tapped. Whenever this land enters, you scry 1, and you can tap it for a black or green. They really shorten this like text on that card. Tanglespan Bridgeworks enters battlefield. You may pay 3 if you pay 3 life. If you don't, it enters battlefield tapped and also taps for a green. Twilight Mire, tap it for colors. You can also pay a Golgari hybrid and tap it for a black green, or a green green. Undergrowth Stadium enters battlefield tapped unless you have 2 or more opponents. Tap it for a black or green. Iridescent Bog, tap 1 colors, tap it, add a Golgari. So I will always talk about the art of these cards. That the card just looks funny. Woodland Cemetery enters battlefield tapped unless you control a swamp or a forest. Tap it for a green or a black. This really looks like a cemetery, but like woodland, you know? Anyways, there's big old Gitrog mouth on the screen. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Honestly, this is going to be a really fun Golgari build. I mean, it's the same old land and sacrifice, but it kind of just combines them both together. And yeah. Anyways, subscribe to me on YouTube and also follow me on Blue Sky and join the Discord. All the links are in the description, so don't be afraid to just go down there and click them. Anyways, peace out.